Well, hello, friends. I'm back. Thank you for being here. Uh, Today we're going to make boiled pot pie. So we're going to get ready to get started. Let me wash my hands and I'll be back in 1 second. I can't get my thing to go on. Hold on. Okay. All right, now we're ready. So today we're going to be making boiled pot pie. Um, It is a Pennsylvania Dutch thing. Some people call it Amish. There is 2 different ways you can make it. One you use water, one you use milk. Today I'm going to use milk. This is time consuming, so I already did up my broth. I'm going to do ham pot pie today, but usually most people do either chicken or beef. I've really never had ham pot pie until I got married to my first husband. His mom used to make ham pot pie. So I'm going to get this ham out. Like I said, I had this on for 2 hours. So I'm going to get this out so I can put my potatoes in. I got to grab something to get this out with. In here, all I have is I cut it down too. I have a ham with a ham bone. So that way I could get some good broth. Plus, I also, I know up north I could get it. Down here I can't get it as much. And that is ham bouillon. I do know down in Florida here, I can get it through, I get it at Walmart from Goya. I'll show you the package here in a minute. Let me get this ham out before I burn myself. I do like a lot of ham in mine, so I make quite a bit of ham. Plus, I also used ham hocks in here, so I could get it to have a good ham flavor. Unfortunately, with ham, you have to really cook it up because it doesn't bring off a lot of broth. So, I did cut this ham bone down. I cut the ham down. I froze some. So, but I want to get my potatoes in here. So I'm trying to get all this out of there. Like I said, this was on for 2 hours already, so this is pretty much this ham is done. In with my ham broth, I did stick some, it feels like something's sticking on the bottom there. I did stick some onion, and I also put some I put a little bit of celery in mine. So it has something sticking on the bottom. I'm trying to get it off. I think it was some of that ham. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Usually it's a lot easier to get out than this because I did cut it down, so okay. I'm going to put 2 bay leaves in there. You don't have to use bay leaves, by no means. But I'm just going to stick 2 in there for the last little bit of time here. Plus, I'm going to put a little bit more water in it. Don't have very much water in it. So we're going to stick a little bit more water in there. Like I said, in this ham, it's all it is water, ham, onion, and a little bit of celery. I'm going to put parsley flakes in. That just gives it color, that's all. It's only for the color of it, the parsley flakes are. But like I said, I got to get more water in here. So, I'm going to put my potatoes in while we're making our dough. I did make 1 batch of the dough up. I'm making a good amount. Usually you would only do what I did the first time, but I'm going to have quite a bit. So I want to get this in there. Probably should have used a different pot. I don't normally use this pot for this, but it'll be okay. Alrighty. So, now, what we're going to do is in here, we're going to make our dough. I'm going to put this off to the side. That needs to cool down so I can tear it apart. I'm going to get my potatoes, and I'm going to put my potatoes into that pot so they can get soft a while. Alrighty. Alright, so then there's the potatoes now. Okay. So in here, when I was way younger, we used to mix this all up by hand. We didn't have a food processor back in the 60s that I know of. So we had to do it all by hand. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to make another half a batch. I'm going to put 2 cups of flour in my food processor. This is a half cup, so it's going to take 4 of these. Some people refer to it as dumplings. It's really not a dumpling, but that's what they refer to it as. Okay, so there's the flour. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in there. Just be careful with your salt, especially with this ham pot pie, with the ham, because ham is salty already. I did put some salt and pepper also in my pot when I made the broth. I'm going to put, and you don't have to do this, but I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder in mine. So that way it rises a little bit more when it's cooking. But like I said, you don't have to do this part. And then I got to put in here 2 eggs. Like I said, this is for the dough. Then I'm going to get a half a cup of milk, and I'm going to gradually put that in. Let me get my milk out. Yeah, I was having a problem a while ago with getting it all set up. So, where's my lid? Here's my lid. Okay. Like I said, we used to have to do this all by hand. The problem is when you do it by hand, it really makes a mess. Now this is going to take me a little bit because I only have a little hole in my food processor. I don't have one of those big sheets. And it doesn't always take the whole half a cup of milk. I didn't even use a whole half a cup. I'm going to put this in with my others here. I'm really lucky that we got food processors now, because when you used to make this, it brought dough out all over your hands. It was hard to get off because we'd have to mix it all up by hand. So at least with the food processor now, it's a little bit easier. The dough is going to be a little sticky, and that's okay because you can add more flour to it. You can add it now if you want. I just wait until I put it on my mat, and then I add flour to it. So let me move this food processor out the way because I need to keep my mat over here. Okay. Now, let me pull my mat down here. We're going to flour this up. I gotta wait for this to cook. This has to start boiling before I can add any of this dough. With this dough, you got to be really, really careful because you have to make sure it's boiling. I gotta find my... I don't normally use my rolling pin very often. Right there it is. Okay. You have to wait till this boils, because if you put this in just all at one time, it will definitely stick together. So as you're doing it, you're going to bring your flour out here. You're going to grab some of this dough and see how it's sticky. So I'm just going to add more dough. Like I said, you can do this before this. I just do it at this time. It's just easier for me to do it now. So you're going to spread this dough out. Some people like it really thick. Some people really like it thin. I did put baking powder in mine, so mine is going to rise. So I'm going to make mine pretty thin. So you're going to roll it out like you're rolling out for a pie crust. The only thing is we're going to cut it into squares. Not something I make a lot, but I do make it. You can get pie squares. I know you can get them up north. I don't really see them down here too often. When I go to this one Amish store over in Lakeland, they have them, but they don't really have them too much around here. I'm trying to wait for that to start cooking. Don't I have a... I'm just going to use a knife. So we're going to take and do our squares. You can do your squares any way you want. You can do them big, you can do them little. It's pretty much entirely up to you. I'm just going to put them off here on the side. Don't stack them. You have to alternate the way you stack them so they don't all stick together. Because like I said, that was cooking until I added that water to it. I should have took this ham out earlier. I like pretty much bigger. See how thin the dough is? And when I'm done, it will actually fluff up as soon as I get it into that broth. So after this starts boiling, this gets into the broth, it'll be about 20 minutes. You'll leave it in there. And then you'll take it out, and then it'll be done. We'll have to shred our ham up, of course, and put in. That goes in at the very, very end. So alrighty. So there's some. Like I said, I'm trying to wait till this starts cooking. Give me some more flour. You know, while I'm at it, while I'm waiting, I can just add some flour to this instead of getting a big old mess. Like I said, if it's sticky, you just add some flour. That's all. So again, what's in here is flour, salt, 2 eggs. You can use milk or water. It's entirely up to you. You don't have to use milk. You can use water. A lot of people do use water. I do sometimes. I just have milk to use up today, so I used milk. And I put some baking powder in mine. You don't have to use the baking powder if you don't want. That's entirely up to you. I just like to get mine a little fluffier. So, and then you just keep on rolling all this out till you get it all cut up. Luckily, I'm right here, so when this starts cooking, I can see it. And after we get this done, then I'll start tearing my, I'll start tearing apart my ham to put back in here. I'm going to make some thinner. I'm going to make some thicker. It doesn't have to be any particular way. Some people are really uniform about it, and they go little squares. Sometimes when you have bigger squares, when you put it into the liquid, they fold up, which is kind of what I like. They don't always do that. Like I said, this is boiled ham pot pie. This is boiled pot pie. It's not like the pot pie you put in the oven. This is something we grew up on. I didn't grow up with ham. We used to do, at my house, we did either beef or chicken. I didn't actually really do ham pot pie until I got married to my first husband, my ex-husband, and his mom made ham pot pie. Now, that's all my daughter likes. I mean, she won't eat the others, but she really always wants ham. My son, when he was alive, he would eat any of them, but he did like the ham too. So, like I said, it's time consuming, but it's so well worth it. Do not freeze this with the dough and the potatoes in it. This is something that you wouldn't want to freeze. So, I just keep on going back and forth with it. Sounds like that's about ready to start. Sounds like it's about ready to start cooking. Yeah, I can see it bubbling now. So it'll start cooking here. So, again, this dough, and we will post the recipe later on. The dough is made of flour, salt, 2 eggs, 2 cups of flour, 2 eggs. It's an egg per cup of flour. And then I put some baking powder. I put 1 teaspoon of baking powder in mine so that way it would fluff up. Sometimes it doesn't look like it's going to be that much until you get them in there, and it winds up being a lot. I can see where this is starting to cook. Probably wouldn't have to put all that water in there, but yeah, I can see it starting to bubble. So we're just about ready to start dropping these in. I want to get it to be you should get it to make sure it's a rapid boil before you drop all this in there. So tomorrow I will not be here because I do work on Sundays, but I'll be back Monday. And Monday we'll be making homemade lasagna. I'll be making a homemade sauce, so I'll start that earlier. All right, it's starting to cook now. All right, so you put them in, and you can't put them all in at one time. You put so many in, and then you stir it. Otherwise, they will stick together. I'm just letting you know, they will absolutely stick together, and they will come to the top, and that's okay. But please, please make sure that in between, after you put some in, no more than 10, if even that you stir it up. I'm going to get these done and see if maybe I think we need any more. I don't know. I still have this batch to cut and another batch. If I need more, I can make more. Like I said, I just want to make sure I have enough. And these will, like I said, float to the top. And that's okay. We're going to let them go for about 20 minutes. I will put my lid on mine for a little bit. So, see how I do that? I just put so many in, and then I stir it so they don't stick together. I'll never forget my older sister. She's not a cook. And one time she wanted to make pot pie for us all. It was not a lot long, I think, after she got married. So she made this pot pie. And I guess they didn't tell her to make sure she stirred it in between. So she did it just like I'm doing, except for she put all the dough in at one time. And boy, did she have one big old ball in there. It was just a big ball of dough in there. It was really funny. Because they will stick together. These do plump up. So I still have some ham to get in there too. Like I said, this is dough. So it's going to be pretty much, you won't be able to eat a lot at one time. So I think I'll have enough dough here. I'm going to try to make this one a little thinner. If you don't put the baking powder in, you might want to leave them a little thicker. But because I stuck baking powder in mine, it fluffs them up some. So I'm trying to get them thin. And then all you do is cut them into squares the best you can. You can put, I only put potatoes in mine. And like I said, I put a little bit of onion and celery in just to make a better broth. But you can put other vegetables in it. And you don't even have to put the potatoes in if you don't want. It's just that that's what we particularly like. You can put carrots in it. So, carrots, more celery. I just put a little bit in, just enough for the broth. But you can put bigger things of celery in there. I don't know what else you'd want to put in there. But now it's boiling. So, it's kind of time consuming, but it's only time consuming because you have to make the broth up. And then when you do the dough, down after that, it's pretty much, doesn't take long. It takes about 20 minutes. So, but the dough does come to the top. That's why you got to keep on stirring it when you're putting in the new dough. Otherwise, you are going to get nothing but one big ball of dough. Because it will all stick together. Like I said, when I made it before, people called it, especially when you make it with chicken, they call it chicken and dumplings. I said, well, it's not a dumpling, but okay. You know, a dumpling's a little fatter than this, but that's what you want to call it. It's all good. All right, then here's my last one. Like I said, I think this is going to be enough. It makes it pretty much. And I made a double batch of this. So, alrighty. Let's get this out. We'll get this rolled out. So, like I said, tomorrow I will be working, so I won't be here. I will be here on Monday making homemade lasagna. I know a lot of people like my lasagna because there's a couple things I put in that are a little bit different. I've always made it like that. But you can come back on Monday and see how that's done. I will start the sauce early because it is homemade sauce and I have to start it like 3 hours early. And I don't want to tie you all up for 3 hours. So I will definitely start that early. But I will tell you, and you know, how I made my sauce. So I'm just using a butter knife. Sometimes I use a pizza cutter, but I'm just using a butter knife today. And then on Tuesday, I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to make. Not 100% sure. I think I might do something creative on Tuesday. I get like that sometimes where I do creative stuff. So I write stuff down and see if it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, it does. But you got to make sure you keep on stirring this as you're adding it. Like I said, otherwise it will definitely stick. And I got to watch because I shouldn't have used this pot. I got to make sure they don't stick in this pot. Luckily, the dough doesn't go to the bottom. It floats on the top. So that's a benefit I have there. This doesn't look like a whole bunch of dough, but it is a lot. Plus, I put ham in there yet. I don't know. I want to make sure it's enough for everybody. Like I said, I don't know. I think it'll be enough. I got to get my ham in there yet, so that'll be enough. Okay. Let me get this up here. Otherwise, I'm going to have one heck of a mess. There's a little bit more dough. Sprinkle it in there. I put a little bit of flour in mine just to thicken the broth up a little bit. It'll help thicken that broth up. Alrighty. I want to lift this out of here so I don't have a mess, which I probably will. All right, let me wash my hands up, and then we'll get to tearing this ham apart. I was going to make something else today, and then I thought, well, this is kind of time consuming, so, you know, till I get this ham tore apart, we'll, this should be done. So, and this is the bouillon I use down here. It's by Goya. It is a ham bouillon. So, anybody that lives around here, like I said, when I'm up north, I can usually go to their Giant store and they have a thing of ham bouillon, but down here I can't get that. So, but up north I can. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, now here's my ham. I don't want to put that in quite yet, because I got to wait for that to get done. The ham goes in last because the ham is still warm anyways. So you can put that in last. For sure. All right, I'm going to get a little bit more parsley, because I like it to have some color to it. And I didn't have much parsley in that big thing. So I'll get a little bit more parsley here. And I'll sprinkle some in there. Like I said, that's pretty much just for color. That's about all that's for, is just for color. Alrighty. Just make sure it isn't sticking. I do have 5 pounds of potatoes in here. I already did them up. So there is 5 pounds of potatoes in here. I just need a bowl to put some of this in. So then all you do is you take your, you can either shred it, you can cut it. That's hot still. So I think I'm going to get my, there, I'm going to cut it up this time. So if there's anything that people want to see, please let me know. Like last week when they wanted that meatloaf, I'll more than gladly show you anything you want to see. Like I said, this was a whole ham, but I took some of it away because it was a ham on a bone. I cut it down because it was too much ham for me for this. So I did cut it down. This is, like I said, this is still hot. So some of it's just going to shred apart. This was in. I was making the broth for about 2 hours. So I got to get all that fat off of it though. And that's kind of challenging when it's hot. It pretty much shreds. I just try to cut it in half so it's not big ham chunks. Get the skin and the fat off of it. I know nobody wants to bite into a whole thing of fat. After I get this filled, I'll probably start putting it in. And I do have ham hocks. Like I said, I did use ham hocks. Ham hocks do have a little bit of meat on, but not much. So ham hocks are pretty much for broth only. But I do try to get the little bit of meat out of them that's in there. But like I said, they're usually for broth only. You're not going to get a lot of meat off the ham hock. You don't even have to cut it down if you don't want. I just try to get as much as I can. And that's all you do. It's that simple. It's not hard at all to make. It's just making that stock is what the hardest part is. And then, like I said, mixing up the dough. But that even got easier since they have food processors now, because you can use a food processor for it. You don't have to do it by hand like I used to have to do. See, there's the bone right there. So I just want to make sure I get as much ham as I can and get rid of all that fat. Unfortunately, the fat does help the broth. Like I said, you can do chicken. If you don't like ham, you can do beef. If you don't like chicken, it's entirely up to you how you do it. It's just that everybody around here likes the ham one, so I prefer actually the chicken one, but I can eat the ham one. I like ham. This stuff's still hot from my hands. I gotta get that fat off of there though. I don't know what I'm gonna make on Thursday yet. I will decide something, but I'm just not quite sure what it's going to be yet. And I do want to make a cake one day. My grandson wants me to make a cake. So I will make that probably on Tuesday. I'll probably do something Tuesday that's not going to be time consuming. So then I'll make a cake with it. I just don't like to hold everybody on here all day. This is really cooking now. All right, I'm going to start putting this in there. I got a whole bunch of ham. That's why I said I think I have enough noodles, because there's a whole bunch of ham too. So till you get that in there, and this ham smells good. Some of it just falls right off that bone. See, there's a nice good sized ham hock that has some on it. But I gotta be careful because it's hot. There's a piece of fat. I don't want that. Okay. Let me get this little bit of ham done yet. Then we'll go over a recap. By then that should be done. Then I can take it out and show you it. Like I said, there's times I just make stuff up. I try to write it all down though, because when I get on here then I get mixed up. I even did that before, because you can get mixed up if you don't write it down. You can forget something that you were thinking of. The kids laugh at me sometimes the way I do stuff. I don't want all that dark stuff out of the skin out of the ham. This is all solid meat here. That's all solid meat. I think I got most of the ham. The nice part is most of that ham falls right off that fat. I think we're about done with the ham. There's a little bit more. Alrighty, I think that's about it. There's a couple of odds and end pieces down there because when I broke it apart, when I cut it apart off the big ham so I could freeze some of it got in pieces. So. Alrighty. Like I said, I think that's it. I just want to get these ham hocks. That is good meat in them ham hocks. If they have any in it, it is really good meat. So I try to tear them apart to make sure I got the meat out of them. Oh, see, there's another big piece of ham that I almost missed. Get that fat off of there. Yeah, I heard they're going to get a lot of snow up north. My sisters and my brother, they're waiting for it. Funny part is the storm's name is my mom's name. She's not with us anymore, but we don't forget her. I think we're good. I think that's about good then. Okay. Let me get this in here. I gotta wash my hands off again. And then we'll go over all this. Let me get a towel here. Alrighty. I'll get rid of that later on. I have to throw that out. Okay. So, let's recap this while that's cooking up just a little bit longer. I knew it wasn't going to take a long time today to do this, but let me stir it to make sure it's not sticking on the bottom. I like to try to get my broth that it's a little on the thicker side. I don't like it all I don't like it all just real runny. I wanted to get stuff to make coleslaw with it, but I forgot till I got home from work last night. Then I remembered it. So otherwise I would have had that to make up. But like I said, I forgot it. So it is what it is. Alrighty, we're going to recap this. I'm going to put a little bit of this in there to try to thicken that up a little bit. You don't have to thicken the broth up, I just like to. So it's entirely up to you. I just like a little bit thicker of a broth. Like I said, it's entirely up to you. Actually, when you let it sit, it'll start thickening up a little bit too. All right. So now, okay, so this is Pennsylvania. This is Pennsylvania Dutch pot pie. I used ham. You can also use chicken or beef. I used 4 ham hocks in here with 4 quarts of water to start out with. You can put some bay leaves in if you want. You don't have to. I used 5 pounds of potatoes, and I used 2 large onions, and I used 2 stalks of celery. So then for the dough, I used 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons salt, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 4 eggs, and a cup of milk. You don't have to use milk, you can use water. Pour the milk or the water in slowly, because as you can see, I had taken a half a cup and I still have a quarter of a cup there. So it depends. Sometimes you need more, sometimes you don't need as much. So like I said, just take your time, and you can use your food processor, you can do it by hand. If you have a KitchenAid mixer and you have the paddle, the white paddle thing, where's mine at? If you have one like that, or if you have the one that it's white like this, if you have that one, you could use that too in your KitchenAid mixer. The white one, like I'm talking about, I gave to my grandson because he didn't have one, he wanted one. Okay, so what I did is I made my stock. I put my ham bouillon, and some celery in there, and I left it come to a boil. Then I turned it down to medium-low, and I left it simmer about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Then I removed the ham to cool it down, and I turned the temperature back up on the stove, and I put my potatoes in. I did add some more water. You don't have to. It's all up to you, but when you put that ham in there and then you take it out, the water does come down. So you can add some more water in there. That's why you try to get a good stock. That way when you add water, it's not all watery. So then I made my dough. I rolled it out. I cut it into squares. And I dropped them in one by one, and I kept on mixing it so they wouldn't stick together. So you got to let that go for about 20 minutes. You shred your diced ham or chicken or beef, whatever you have, and then you put your ham back in. And as soon as about 20 minutes is up, you're good to go. You can even turn it down on low and just leave it in there if you want. And there you have it. It's ham pot pie. Let me get some out so I can show it to you. Use this one. I'm going to use this one, I think. I'm going to put it in this clear bowl so you can see it. Let me get out my... Let me get this out. Okay. You don't have to put it in a bowl either. You can drain all the juice and just put it in a... I think I am going to have to make some more dough, though. Okay, there you go, and there you have it, your ham pot pie. Boiled ham pot pie. It's hot, so I can't eat it, but that's all you do. I hope everybody has a blessed day, and I'll see you on Monday. I'm going to make more.